Forgiveness ends the dream of conflict here. 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 Well, so glad that you've come to join me in studying A Course in Miracles Workbook for Students and the Manual for Teachers. We're ready today for Lesson 333 in A Course in Miracles Workbook for Students. We're reading from the original edition here on Wednesday, November the 29th of 2023. Forgiveness ends the dream of conflict here. Forgiveness ends the dream of conflict here. Want to be free from conflict? Learn to practice forgiveness. Conflict must be resolved. It cannot be evaded, set aside, denied, disguised, seen somewhere else, called by another name, nor hidden by deceit of any kind, if it would be escaped. It must be seen exactly as it is, where it is thought to be, in the reality which has been given it, and with the purpose that the mind accorded it. For only then are its defenses lifted, and the truth can shine upon it as it disappears. Father, forgiveness is the light you chose to shine away all conflict and all doubt, and light the way for our return to you. Wow, we want to learn about forgiveness, don't we? Father, forgiveness is the light you chose to shine away all conflict and all doubt, and light the way for our return to you. No light but this can end our evil dreams. No light but this can save the world. For this alone will never fail in anything, being your gift to your beloved Son. And, you know, I count myself a forgiveness teacher because I want to learn forgiveness. So I figured I just better be teaching everybody that wants to learn it. So that's why I call myself, lately I've been calling myself Miracle Willie. Someone called me the other day and said, I sent them a text and they said, who is this? And I knew that they would know me if I associated myself with Course in Miracles. So I said, oh, it's Miracle Willie. And I kind of like the sound of it. So I'm forgiveness teacher Miracle Willie from the Ozarks. Forgiveness ends the dream of conflict here. What is the ego? Our associated reading. The ego is idolatry, the sign of limited and separated self, born in a body doomed to suffer and to end its life in death. It is the will that sees the will of God as enemy and takes a form in which it is denied. The ego is the proof that strength is weak and love is fearful. Life is really death, and what opposes God alone is true. That's insane. So he starts off the next paragraph as, the ego is insane. In fear it stands beyond the everywhere, apart from all, in separation from the infinite. In its insanity it thinks it has become a victor over God himself. And in its terrible autonomy, it sees the will of God has been destroyed. It dreams of punishment and trembles at the figures in its dreams. Its enemies who seek to murder it before it can ensure its safety by attacking them. The Son of God is ego-less. What can he know of madness and the death of God when he abides in him? What can he know of sorrow and of suffering when he lives in eternal joy? What can he know of fear and punishment, of sin and guilt, of hatred and attack, when all there is surrounding him is everlasting peace, forever conflict-free, and undisturbed in deepest silence and tranquility? To know reality is not to see the ego and its thoughts. To know reality is not to see the ego and its thoughts. its works, its acts, its laws, and its beliefs, its dreams, its hopes, its plans for its salvation or its happiness, and the cost belief in it entails. In suffering, the price for faith in it is so immense that crucifixion of the Son of God is offered daily at its darkened shrine, and blood must flow before the altar where its sickly followers prepare to die. Yet will one lily of forgiveness change the darkness into light, the altar to illusions, to the shrine of life itself. And peace will be restored forever to the holy minds, which God created as His Son, His dwelling place, His joy, His love, completely His, completely one with Him. Forgiveness ends the dream of conflict here. And we're ready in our manual for teachers for number 26. Can God be reached directly? Can God be reached directly? And as you're, before we start there, let's take a look at holy days, holidays, and observances around the world today. It's Catherine-tide Day. And what is Catherine-tide Day? Well, it's named after Saint Catherine, who was an early Christian martyr of Alexandria. She's the patron saint of unmarried women. Thus, today we also have Woman Wednesday. Is it Women Wednesday? Women Wednesday. Probably as a result of that. St. Catherine's Day, where these small biscuit-like cakes of flour, eggs, sugar, and butter or lard, and caraway seed were made, and probably still are. Chocolate's Day. Let me tell you something about dark chocolate. Dark chocolate's maybe a little better. For a vegan, it's better. And you don't have to be a vegan to be a Course in Miracles student. I'm just sharing you who I am. But anyway, chocolate days, dark chocolate. Although dark chocolate contains beneficial antioxidants and minerals, it is usually also high in sugar and fat, which makes it a very calorie-dense food. Dark chocolate contains fat in the form of cacao butter, which mainly consists of unhealthful saturated fats. That's all according to Medicinal News Today. And I want to tell you a little bit of, here, let's see what else is going on. Customer is wrong today. You know, in my policy, my business, customer's always right is what we always say. And we do want to always lean on the favor of the customer. And if there's a question, we always lean on their if we're not sure, we go on what's best for them. But somebody liked the idea of Customer's Wrong Day. Just call a spade, I guess. Electronic Greetings Day. Send someone a hello with your text. Is that Electric Greetings Day? International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. Well, there's a good reason to stand with them right now. They were formed in 1947, and when I say they were formed, they were allotted land that actually became Israel, and Israel's been monitoring the Palestinian, particularly the Gaza Strip portion of Palestine. And it probably needs to be two separate nations in order to really work well. But this International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people actually was a celebration that began in 1978 to draw awareness to what's going on in Palestine. And so now would be a good time for me just to say the word for peace that I'd like to bring our attention to, since it's Palestinian Solidarity Day, is Assalamu Aleikum, or Salam, which is peace, Assalamu Aleikum. But also in Hebrew, it's Shaloam. And many people in that area, Palestine actually includes Israel and the Gaza Strip, or what's known as the Palestinian people, more the Arab descent rather than the Jewish descent. In that, but they also use Aleikum, but they say Shalom Aleikum instead of Assalamu Aleikum. So today we'll say Shalom Aleikum and Salam Aleikum. May there be peace in Palestine. National Lemon Cream Pie Day, National Package Protection Day, Rockefeller Center Christmas Tree Lighting, Square Dancing Day, Throw Out Your Leftovers Day, and give it to your chickens or your dog. and then I want to tell you about another berry, another ribes, and it's the Jostaberry. I found this in Wikipedia about Jostaberry. It's a ribes cross. It's a ribes cross nidogalaria, and it's a complex cross fruit bush in the genus ribes, involving 3 original species: the black currant Ribes nigrum, the North American coastal black gooseberry, and the ribe, which is the Ribes divaricatum, and the European gooseberry, which is the Ribes uva crispa. And then in edible landscaping, which they may not have anymore, I couldn't find it online, but they did have it in their catalog. Let me tell you what it says about the Jostaberry. Jost is a new, unique hybrid from Europe. A gooseberry blackcurrant cross, vigorous and healthy, Josta shows off the best traits of each parent. Fruits later in life than most ribes, 3rd or 4th year usually. No thorns and no pungent aroma. Half-inch fruit, good for freezing. Spaced 5 foot apart. Rust resistant with little or no pruning required. The upright bush is pretty with large dark green leaves. Height 4 to 7 feet. 3, 5, and 7 gallon size are usually fruiting in the container. Zones 3 through 8. So if you want one that's ready to start fruiting immediately, you want to get a 3, 4, 5 or 7 gallon pot. With a plant that's accordingly mature. You wouldn't want to put like a 1-year-old in a 5-gallon pot and call it a 5-gallon plant. Okay, so Shalom Aleikum and Salam Aleikum. Peace be to you in Hebrew and Arabic. Can God be reached directly? And of course, let's keep with us today our idea: forgiveness ends the dream of conflict here. Can God be reached directly? God indeed can be reached directly, for there is no distance between him and his Son. His awareness is in everyone's memory, and his word is written on everyone's heart. Yet this awareness and this memory can arise across the threshold of the unconscious only where all barriers of truth have been removed. So we're busy trying. I'm going to get my head right up there in the camera for a minute and look and see what our time is. Sorry about that. The sun's right in my face and I can't hardly see the camera. It can see me though, so I expect you can see me. So this awareness and this memory of God can arise across the threshold of the unconscious only where all barriers to truth have been removed. So we're trying to learn to remove all barriers to truth, particularly our lesson today: forgiveness ends the dream of conflict here. So all those beliefs that were separate from our brothers, and all those acts of unlove and spite and bitterness and anger and the seeing of guilt in others, those are all what have to be removed in order to let God come streaming into your awareness. So again, yet this awareness and this memory can arise across the threshold of the unconscious only where all barriers to truth have been removed. In how many is this the case? Here then is the role of God's teachers. They too have not attained the necessary understanding as yet, but they have joined with others. This is what sets them apart from the world, and it is this that enables others to leave the world with them. Alone they are nothing, but in their joining is the power of God. And I just want to stop right there and say thank you all again for joining me. This is what I want to reach that place of letting God's awareness come streaming into my awareness by sharing with others what I know is the truth that I need to be living by. Paragraph 2. There are those who have reached God directly, retaining no trace of worldly limits and remembering their own identity perfectly. These might be called the teachers of teachers. The teachers of teachers. Because although they are no longer visible, their image can yet be called upon. Wow. And they will appear when and where it is helpful for them to do so. To those to whom such appearances would be frightening, they give their ideas. Whoa, you're just showing up right here in my bedroom? Jesus? That's a little disconcerting, a little scary. That won't just happen that way. You'll get an idea. When you're ready to see the full glory of the teacher of teachers, and Jesus is one of many, then there won't be any reason why you wouldn't be able to even see their appearance that they would like you to be perceived by seeing. No one can call on them in vain, nor is there anyone of whom they are unaware. All needs are known to them, these teachers of teachers. I expect there's, I imagine Buddha is a teacher of teachers. I expect Muhammad's a teacher of teachers. It's very likely that Moses is a teacher of teachers, and the list is long. Nor is there anyone of whom they are unaware. All needs are known to them, and all mistakes are recognized and overlooked by them. The time will come when this is understood, and meanwhile they give all their gifts to the teachers of God who look to them for help, asking all things in their name and in no other. Sometimes a teacher of God may have a brief experience of direct union with God. In this world, it is almost impossible that this endure. It can perhaps be won after much devotion and dedication, and then be maintained for most of the time on earth. But this is so rare that it cannot be considered a realistic goal. Wow. Isn't that something? Here we've been sitting in meditation for hours and hours every day for some of us, for maybe for years. And he's saying, well, you could probably reach that. You could get there that way. But it's so rare, it's not a realistic goal. What does he say is a realistic goal? But this is so rare that it cannot be considered a realistic goal. If it happens, so be it. If it does not happen, so be it as well. All worldly states must be illusory. If God were reached directly in sustained awareness, the body would not be long maintained. Hey, that's something. If God were reached directly in sustained awareness, the body would not be long maintained. Those who have laid the body down merely to extend their helpfulness to those remaining behind are few indeed, and they need helpers who are still in bondage and still asleep, so that by their awakening can God's voice be heard. And the last paragraph for this section 4, do not despair then because of limitations. It is your function to escape from them, but not to be without them. If you would be heard by those who suffer, you must speak their language. If you would be Savior, you must understand what needs to be escaped. Salvation is not theoretical. Behold the problem, ask for the answer, and then accept it when it comes. Nor will its coming be long delayed. Wow, what a nice promise. nor will its coming be long delayed. The answer to your problem? All the help you can accept will be provided, and not one need you have will not be met. Let us not then be too concerned with the goals for which you are not ready. God takes you where you are and welcomes you. What more could you desire when this is all you need? Wow, what a beautiful way to say it. Okay, well, let's take a look at our our reading again. Forgiveness ends the dream of conflict here. Now, when I'm practicing these, I sing this whole thing. And when I get it down really good, usually I'm ready for the next lesson, so I haven't been singing. I almost decided to sing this one today, but I think we'll just read it. And I am going to sing a little longer version of the What is the Ego, a little portion of it. Forgiveness ends the dream of conflict here. Conflict must be resolved. It cannot be evaded, set aside, denied, disguised, seen somewhere else, called by another name, nor hidden by deceit of any kind, if it would be escaped. It must be seen exactly as it is, where it is thought to be, in the reality which has been given it, and with the purpose that the mind accorded it. For only then are its defenses lifted, and the truth can shine upon it as it disappears. Father, forgiveness is the light you chose to shine away all conflict and all doubt, and light the way for our return to you. No light but this can end our evil dreams. No light but this can save the world. For this alone will never fail in anything, being your gift to your beloved Son. Okay, well, let's see what we can do about singing a song, and I want to really encourage you again, like I do most days, to do your what Jesus calls your practice period, your morning and evening, sitting in the silence, contemplating the lesson, and allowing happy thoughts from God to come to you. Cross the barrier of the unconscious mind, as we've learning about. We're removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence when we're sitting in that quiet time, and then bolster that quiet time throughout the day, every hour of the day. Try for finding something to be thankful for, and tell yourself today, forgiveness ends the dream of conflict here. 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 What is the ego? What is the ego? The ego is idolatry, the sight and limited, separated self. The ego is idolatry, the sign of a limited and separated self. We're going to get that right. The ego is idolatry, the sign of limited and separated self. Born in a body doomed to suffer and to end its life in death. Born in a body doomed to suffer and to end its life in death. The ego is insane. The ego is insane. The ego is insane. The ego is insane, and fear it stands beyond the everywhere. Apart from all, in separation from the infinite. The Son of God is egoless. The Son of God is egoless. What can he know of sorrow and of suffering when he lives in eternal joy? What can he know of sorrow and of suffering when he lives in eternal joy? To know reality is not to see the ego in its thoughts. know reality is not to see the ego and its thoughts. Yet will one lily of forgiveness change the darkness into light, the altar to illusions, to the shrine of life itself, and peace will be restored forever to the holy mind, and peace will be restored forever to the holy minds, which God created as His Son, His dwelling place. His joy is love, completely His, completely one with Him. Forgiveness ends the dream of conflict here. 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 To know reality is not to see the ego and its thoughts. Yet will one lily of forgiveness change the darkness into light, the altar to illusions, to the shrine of life itself, and peace will be restored forever to the holy minds, which God created as His Son, His dwelling place. His joy is love, completely His, completely one with Him. Forgiveness ends the dream of conflict here. 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 You know, anybody that's having argument with each other, two nations, two people, two groups, practice some forgiveness. What is forgiveness? Well, of course, Miracles says it real clear that this is a dream, and you give up the dream. Forgiveness recognizes what you thought your brother or sister did to you has not occurred. Accept it as a dream and let it go for the awareness of God's sake. Practice forgiveness. Forgiveness ends the dream of conflict here. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom alaikum.